Well, I was leading hiking tours through the Rockies and living in Edmonton during the rest of the year. So in the summer I was guiding, and a friend of mine, Kim, was working at the elementary school and said, they need an aide. Would you be interested in working? And that's how I met Grace Cohn and her daughter Julianne. And the program that we used was really spontaneous acting. So Julianne was actually my first theater teacher. It gives life, it gives spontaneity, it gives tapping into something that's bigger than us. The individual is even the channel for the performance, that there's something greater that we're a part of, but it's something greater that comes through us. Any art, whether it's theater or writing or painting or video, is an expression of where we live, and to be able to embrace that is important. And I think it's a gift that we do have it in our community. Kids are in soccer, they're in all these things that keep them structured into a certain role, whereas theater allows them to explore all the roles, all the things that they are. I think it's integral, actually, to learning. I think patience is a big one that theater teaches us. Working together, like Shakespeare said, the whole world's a stage. If we look on our $20 bill, you see Gabrielle Roy's quote that say, could we ever know each other in the slightest without the arts? You have to look really, really closely, though, to see it, but it's there.
When I take photos, like, my camera just lets me take one moment, and then lets me slow down and examine that one moment, look through the viewfinder, and then you see everything a little bit differently. When I was about 14, my dad got me a pretty good Nikon digital camera, so that was kind of when I started taking photos. But I didn't really get into it until the Ireland trip, and I ended up hanging out with Graham Kennedy a lot. He'd be taking photos of things, and I'd be kind of watching what he was doing and seeing how he was framing shots. And then when I'm in the photography frame of mind, I'm always looking at everything, trying to figure out what's a good photo. So it helps me notice things and helps me examine. I like to photograph things that cause emotion, or that have emotion in them. If I'm at a sports game, you'll probably catch me taking photos of the crowd, not the actual game. So when you're looking at the world, you see everything as it is, but then when you see a painting, the artist has kind of turned the world into something a little bit more than just the actual scene was. So art's a way to improve on the real world. A photograph captures a moment. It's a very different medium of art than, say, painting or drawing or sculpture or anything like that, because you have to work with what you've been given, but you're also trying to keep the realism of the scene while making it art. My favorite subject's people, so if I can, I'll just go walk around town and see if I can see any interesting moments, like someone biking on the street, and I don't know, it's their first time riding a bicycle and they're going through the mountains because they're a tourist. Growing up in Jasper, there's the beautiful scenery, and everyone else comes here, they're like, oh, look at the mountains, they're so beautiful, but growing up here, you kind of come climatized to it. So that's once again where the emotion comes in. So instead of taking a picture of the new totem pole, I might take a picture of someone taking a picture of the new totem pole. The majority of people take photos to kind of archive their life. When you get into more professional photography, it's basically the same thing, but it's capturing moments that are important to everyone, not just yourself. It's every photo is a challenge, and that's really good for me because lots of times, in school, it wasn't that challenging. So it's nice to have a challenge every once in a while.
Well, I've always been a writer, and when I was younger, I wrote quite a bit, even in elementary school. But somewhere along the way, I took an interest in biology. Over time, there was still always just this little emptiness, I wasn't really living the creative life I was supposed to live, or I should be living. A couple of years ago, I went to an arts program at the Banff Centre called Creative Science Communications. It was all these people like me who, loved science and were passionate about science, or they wanted to find a way to share that passion with the world and be creative people. So it's sort of an art-science intersection. I think when I was in my early 20s, I always imagined I'd live away from here because it was the town I grew up in. Eventually when my husband and I started thinking about children and what we wanted our life to look like, Jasper is it. There's been this great infusion of younger people, you know, late 20s, early 30s, and whether it's seeing a show or going to an art show or what have you. We did end up having a child who is now 6, and he was just at art camp here a couple of weeks ago. And living in Jasper has that, you always have that connection to the land. So I'm passing the people I'm writing to on the street, and they tell me if they can relate to the work or not. And I made a really conscious decision when my son was born that I wanted to live a more joyful life. For example, I was just having lunch and I took it outside to be in the sun, and I was sitting across from Jasper Artists Guild, and I thought, maybe I'll just poke my head in there. To me, to be able to do that is, it just makes my day better. And I think it also makes your world a little bigger. Jasper has an arts and culture scene that's really inclusive. I think it makes it really available to people, and it becomes much more than just an art event. It becomes a place where we generate community. Jasper does that really, really well. And I'm always amazed at how hip everyone is, no matter what age they are.
What brought me in is the fact that we had the ability to print short-run advertising for artists. Make it possible for the artist to both be well known, but also find different ways of promoting their work. There's a huge wealth of arts and culture here. That there's people that have come here from across Canada and around the world, actually. One of the main ones would be Grace Conn, and Grace did not take no for an answer and moved forward, and using all her art skills was able to create a great awareness for autism and move that forward so everybody in the community has a better understanding. Somebody like Greg Deagle, with his music and with his spoken word, written word, and his challenging himself in his visual arts is amazing. But I see it with every artist that comes by with different works that they are inspired by this greatness, this vastness of space that we have. We are very fortunate to have. To have a vibrant arts community in Jasper is everybody is inspired to improve their skill level. Arts Jasper, who brings great theater and music into the community, it develops a world awareness. You appreciate not only your own culture, but other cultures. Take a look around the world and see why we travel. We travel because we want a different awareness. And I think that's what arts and culture does to every part of society. The interesting thing about Jasper is you can come and experience a beautiful nature, but then to come into the community and experience how people themselves are affected by this natural environment, I think adds another level of interest. It's a definite plus for business that to have a vibrant arts community.
I think because my dad used to sing all the time with his guitar, and I think yeah, I began to dance inside a long time ago. I dance to communicate with other people. Often I am alone in the traveling, so I need to communicate, so I communicate with all the nature. And sometimes I am in other countries where I can't speak the language. So dancing all the time in my life was the way to communicate with people. It's communicate soul to soul. For me, dance, it's a relation. It's a relation. So dancing give happiness, give freedom, give a possibility to connect really with the people, how they are. It's a basic thing to have in every life. Art, it's a way to express yourself, it's a way to teach, it's a way to be free, it's a way to... It's essential, it's like a breed. And when you are in a touristic place, you need more, because you really need to feel what is the culture there, because it's not only a shop and things like that. Some people live there and they have something to tell you, something to share with you. all the kids, they do art, and they don't think that it's art. They just begin to play in relation, to have a relation with other people, with the nature, with themselves, doing craft, dance, but it's air for me. It's fire. It's water. It's earth. It's dance. It's all of that. Everyone we can dance, sing, paint, and all. But it's just that after, like adult, we forget it and we think that we are not good in that, or because other adults when we were as kids. But don't forget.
Using media as a tactic to trigger people's attention and interest was our main goal, and I think that's what we did this year as well. So it was great to see the grade 12s this year be able to pull that off and really enjoy it actually and have fun, I think, while giving the message across about the youth in Jasper as well. But it talked about just only taking what we need, and also talking the perspectives of kids being able to do what they like, but in the terms of only taking what they need. So like last year we only had our teacher Adam Robb and 5 of us together. This year they had Adam plus 24 kids. Also, Adam was able to create a credited class for kids in high school to take. With the videos that we create, I think there's a different image that our youth has in relation or in comparison to what maybe an adult in an older generation would have. So I think bringing like a refreshed kind of visual or an audio of a song to a different crowd would really make it more impactful. And I think it really shift like the perceptions of people having about youth. I think it gives the community some confidence in the youth that we have in our town, because I truly believe that if we can go this far with this small group that started just a few years ago into now accredited course, being invited to presentations across Canada and the US, the youth in town here in Jasper are making a huge impact for the community. It's making a huge recognition for what the youth can do in our community. It makes me feel very proud of what I've done for the group, and also what I've possibly inspired the next group to do. Youth see what I've done and see what kind of changes can be made is really impactful for them, and I'm hoping that I was able to inspire people, our group was able to inspire people, and I'm hoping the next group can inspire the next generation of groups. I have lots of plans in the future, but I would definitely say arts is a huge part of my life, for sure.
Kids learn through imitation, and so if we live the arts, they will come up with it as well. They are naturally creative, and if we keep that alive for them, they'll be happier adults for it. For me, the natural ingredients is what really inspires me, because they have a life of their own, and that's what I really like. And that I see, with my imagination, I can combine different forms. Well, there's art everywhere, and so to me, there's art in a voice too. And you can make materials so much more mysterious. You can make them interesting. You can make them, happy things. You can make them really heavy. You can give them a different life. To me, a community only comes alive if they are playful. That's the playfulness in a community is showing that they are connected to themselves in their environment, and that in itself is an art. If you incorporate any form of art, even just listening as an art, into your life, then it spirals out in a different way, and you connect differently with people. It's a joyous thing. And when I'm feeling joyful, then I interact differently with people. It's like a self-perpetuating thing, because it makes me feel alive. And what's life without being alive?
When I moved to Jasper, I wasn't very involved in any art scene. You know, I went to live music once in a while, live shows, but I was finishing school and I was very much like in the academic scene and not doing anything with regards to music. The art scene in Jasper is, I find it really inspiring. It's very much about just enjoying it, enjoying your art form and also enjoying it with others. I was over at Monica Schaefer's for dinner. I said, oh, I used to play the violin. And so of course, Monica Schaefer was not allowing that sentence to just trail off. She's like, let's just try playing something. Ironically, I probably learned 2 fiddle tunes out of 10 years of classical, and that's what I remembered. So she started playing it with me, and I just remembered most of it. It was really cool. And I went and got my violin out and brought it back from the city and dusted it off and went to this jam with a few friends. That was such a supportive, encouraging place for me to kind of start playing again and start playing in a totally different way. The presence of music, the presence of arts and culture in a community is, you know, it has community-wide effects. It adds tremendous value to a community to have a rich arts, cultural, music scene. It brings people together. It allows them to share in something that is quite deep within everyone. The variety of small businesses and nonprofit organizations that are focused on the arts that not only succeed but are incredibly supported by community members is astonishing. I don't think I would be playing if I didn't live here. I think where I am, you know, is inextricably linked with the people that are in this area too. It's not the landscape alone, and absolutely that comes through in the fact that I can even get up and play at all.
At the time when I moved, it wasn't about the art. The scene back home for what I was doing was very negative. Come out here and just kind of do it quietly, and people start noticing and they're interested and they like it. People who aren't artists, they enjoy it, you know. They want to enjoy the same things that we experience, and as any type of artist, we're just expressing it. And one thing I really like about Jasper, it's very accommodating to everybody. Everything that we've done now is all thanks to the pioneers of the artists before, all the way back to the cave paintings. The word graffiti really has some negative connotations to it due to the destructive nature and the lawlessness of it. Poets and musicians and painters will want to express themselves in society. I want to get away from graffiti and more onto street art. But when you have a mural, when you have something up there, it becomes respected, and people no longer scribble on that wall. It's important for us to see new things and to experience new things all the time. The snowman just happened. You know, like most of my art, it just happens. At that time I made that snowman with no gloves, and my pants were soaking wet and it was just freezing. I rolled up snow for about 2.5 hours, made 5 snowmen around town, and I stopped when I started to see locals starting to, you know, get about their day, and sat back on a bench and just kind of watched people walk by the snowmen, and I was quite amazed. It creates more social language. People are like, oh, did you see the snowman? Oh yeah, you know. They start talking about the snowman. Oh, who did it? No, I don't know, a mysterious snowman builder. The world is not just about what's in your town or what's in your province or in your country. Or the arts gives us a sense of identity, you know. This is who we are. This is what we do. This is how we see life. This is how we experience life. The world changes and has different needs for art. And there's expressive art, which is just an individual doing their own thing, and then there's art that you do for money. You know, it just gives me a sense of purpose to be able to wake up and know that there's something more than just work, more than just labor and paycheck.